So Lady Gaga, right? We've had Haus Labs for years now. It was originally released through Amazon Prime, and the brand has recently reinvented herself as a Sephora exclusive. All new packaging, all new formulas, all new price points, all new point of view for the brand, and I finally bit the bullet and bought it, and I've been trying it for weeks now. This was what made me pull the trigger finally, is the new Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. So many thoughts on this. I also picked up the translucent powder. This is the Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder. I got a bronzer, the Powder Sculpt Velvet Bronzer in Light Level 1. And what I don't have on my face currently, but we're going to apply it together. Ooh, is that glass? Fancy. The Atomic Shake Lip Lacquer. I have it in Rosewood Shine. If y'all have been following for a minute on any of my social channels, I posted a mini review of this a couple of weeks ago on TikTok, Instagram, and as a short here on YouTube, and my thoughts really haven't changed, but I wanted to show it to y'all again just so that this review is very complete, and also a lot of y'all probably haven't seen it yet. So I filmed this look coming together. I would call this just about the most ideal of circumstances that I applied this makeup look in. I've gotten my head around these formulas enough that I knew how to prep my skin, I knew how to balance the shade, I knew how to set it, I knew the amount that I wanted to put on in order to show y'all kind of what I want to point out about it. And I have worn this several times in several ways, and I have end of day footage wearing it at least 2 different ways that I'll share with y'all through this video as well. So I have the scoop for y'all today. Let's go ahead and jump in. Guess how long it took me to do this to my hair? Like no time at all. I finally tried that trick with your robe. You know, you take the tie from your belt, and mine happens to be this really lovely, super soft fleecy material, and I just wrapped my hair around it. And my hair was dry at the time, but I had just blow dried it, and so it just set like this. It's very easy to persuade my hair to do things. Okay, let's cut to the chase here. We're gonna talk about each product individually, the price, the claims, the shades, everything like that, and I will stick the footage in as we go. The Haus Labs by Lady Gaga Triclone Skin Tech Medium Coverage Foundation with fermented arnica, which y'all know I need because I bought myself in the nose over the weekend. Someone actually did recommend arnica pills for the bruising. If you don't know the details, go to my last video. It's really like kind of a long story. So anyway, this comes in 50 shades, one of them being white. And if you want to see the white in action on someone who has almost white skin, go check out Hannah Louise Poston's first impressions video of this because it was just riveting. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I ended up getting the shade 110 Light Neutral. And here is where my first point of contention enters the chat. I very much appreciate the fact that Lady Gaga has put out so many shades. However, this being Light Neutral is quite yellow. Quite yellow. In fact, I got a couple of different lighting shots of this after it had dried down a little bit, and it goes from being an okay slightly peach match to yellowing quite a bit. So it's like the right tone, but it's like not even that it's the wrong undertone, it's that it's too saturated for the amount of pigment in someone my skin tone's skin. It's very hard to explain, but I feel like I know why. This is probably going to be something that is experienced at least through like most of the light skin tone matches. I'm not really sure if it would like diminish in being a problem as you go deeper and deeper into the shade range. But when you watch Lady Gaga on either her Instagram, I don't even think she has her own Instagram. I think it's just the Haus Labs Instagram, and I follow her, of course. I was watching her demo this, and she was talking about using it both as a body tint to camouflage things when she's on stage and stuff like that, and how it has this really believable skin finish to it, but also it's concentrated. So when I wore this the way I'm wearing it today, where I just applied it straight from the bottle, I used a brush on this side and a sponge on this side to show the different finishes that you can get. Same coverage level really, but you just get a much smoother finish with the sponge. I don't totally love the way that it looks. It's a little cakey. It looks okay right when I apply it, as long as I make sure to use some really good hydrating skin prep. I do have very dry skin, and I used the Cosmetic Plump and Juicy Vegan Collagen Spray-On Serum before doing the foundation today. I also have my sunscreen on, which is Tula. That one tends to not really influence the finish of makeup very much. It's just a very uncomplaining kind of finish. It's not very dewy. But I wanted a little bit more bounce to my skin before I put this on, otherwise it goes dry in a big hurry. I also applied very little of it, like a thin layer of it where I was going to put concealer, and I tried to apply concealer minimally. Not so much for coverage, but mainly to balance out the shade because the shade just isn't super great on me. So I used the Charlotte Tilbury concealer, the new one, the Brightening concealer, because it's a little bit light. I used that kind of on the brightest points of my face, and then I went in with the Kosas Revealer Concealer in 1.5C, which is actually my complexion match, and balanced everything out. I also feel like the use of her bronzer, some contour, some powder contour, like it all made its way back to middle, but it was work. It was work, and I was really like thinking, and it's taken practice. It was something where I went too light the first time, too cakey before, things like that whenever I'm putting this on, because I'm just trying so hard to compensate for the shortcomings of the formula as it pertains to like my expectations for a foundation, the shade and the actual like cakiness of the formula. But when I mix it with, for example, the Fenty Beauty Ease Droplet or the MAC Strobe Cream, let me just show you what happens. I love the smell of this stuff. So the Strobe Cream is a little more of a cream and the Fenty's a little bit more of a serum, but in effect, they're pretty similar. They have a similar amount of iridescence to them and a similar amount of like how much I would use on my skin. So that's gonna dilute the formula of the foundation a little bit. So if I use that, almost like 2/3 of the actual primer and 1/3 foundation, I end up with, honestly, some of the most beautiful skin tint formulas I've ever seen, and they wear super beautifully. Unfortunately, wow, you can see the Strobe Cream does lighten it, so maybe I should do that a little bit more often, but the Fenty really keeps the trueness of that shade, and it's so yellow. It's just so not a good match for me. Like, yeah, I could probably go lighter and get it, but I would end up kind of ghostly. When it comes to a foundation that can go as full coverage as this does, you really have to like nail down the shade match, because regardless, it's going to blank your features out. And so it's like drawing your features back on can either be something that feels like an artistic endeavor or something that feels like an uphill battle. And I felt like Sisyphus on this one. So it helps me, after wearing it those couple of ways where I've diluted the formula, it helped me understand where she was coming from, almost like that's what this was designed to do. It's like if you tried to put the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin like straight on instead of mixing it with something. It's not that you can't do it, it's just gonna be like really high coverage. Like, and I'm not saying that this is like the most high coverage ever, it's just really saturated with pigment in a way that like it's hard to explain because it's unique in that respect, but it also makes for like a more ideal skin tint because it can be lighter weight if you mix it with something and you still get quite a bit of coverage. So it's like, I would recommend it for that if you already have it, but I would not recommend buying it just so that you could do that with it, because I honestly think that, at least for the light skin tones, the fact that they're so vividly, intensely pigmented with the color that they're supposed to be, they're not natural skin tones. Like if you look at the swatches online, like I was hoping that the swatches were just a little extreme, but the reviews that I've seen, the application footage that I've seen, and the one that I have in my hand, the big takeaway for me is it's true. Like those swatches are true to life and none of them really looks like an actual skin tone. They're all too extreme. It's like there's pink, there's peach, even the neutral is yellow, you know, and it's very unique in that sense. And I feel like that learning curve is gonna be a really big stumbling block because regardless of whether you find a way to solve for that issue, putting this on for yourself, I don't think that that makes a $45 foundation worth it. It's just been very difficult for me to use and I've held off on reviewing it for as long as I have since I've had it because I wanted to get some kind of firm stance on that because honestly, it just baffled me for a long time. I didn't want to get on camera and say, I am so utterly confused, I don't get it, you know? So that is the extent of my understanding of this thus far. Let's read the claims on it and I will see how it backs out. Natural finish, liquid formula, clean at Sephora, long wearing, hypoallergenic, medium coverage. It might be long wearing, but when I have to use as much skin prep and as much skin finishing as I do with this in order for it to like look okay, I don't love the wear time on it. It really breaks up a lot. It doesn't look super great on me and it's just not how I want to look at the end of the day. It wears off instead of wearing in. It's just kind of conspicuous, like it looks makeup-y and that's not what I'm going for. A medium coverage, I understand that I'm sensitive to coverage at this point, you know, because I do love a really, really lightweight skin tint. So medium coverage feels full to me, but like this does feel, yeah, you can see my freckles and stuff, but it wears like a full coverage foundation. It's very there. I'm very aware of it. Weightless, I would beg to differ. It's quite thick. She feels thick. Okay, like it feels just kind of like on the skin. I don't think that it's like serum-y or anything. I know that Hannah said that about the white shade, but I honestly like watching her put that on. I feel like the white shade is formulated differently. Clean foundation with fermented arnica that helps reduce redness and protects from environmental stress. You know, fantastic. We love to see it. I mean, honestly, helping to protect from environmental stress has a lot to do with the physical barrier that this puts on my face. Vegan, cruelty-free, gluten-free, made with 20 plus skincare ingredients. This proprietary formula delivers ultra comfortable long wear performance without compromising your skin. It's weightless, serum-like texture, seamlessly blurs and smooths for a natural luminous finish that wears all day, no slipping or caking. It cakes up on me. It doesn't slip, I will hand it that, but especially the like serum consistency, like yes, I get serum from this in the sense that I don't see individual like pigment particles. It's very smooth, but only when it's wet. Then when it dries down, I feel like it gets kind of like satin looking on me, and the only reason that my skin looks really smooth right now is because I doused myself in Fix Plus, so you can still see just pores and texture, and it's just gathering places that like I don't have to look like this, you know? My expectations are set higher than this because I know my skin can look better than this with less coverage, less makeup, less everything, less work, basically. So that's my take on the Triclone foundation. Okay, now let's talk about the powder. The powder is $38. It comes in 5 shades. I got translucent, neutral with balanced undertones. The claims on this is light coverage, vegan, loose powder formula, clean at Sephora, cruelty-free. A clean skincare infused loose powder that blurs imperfections, smooths skin, and optimizes makeup performance in 5 talc-free soft focus shades. Has fermented arnica, plant squalane, and tourmaline that supports cellular energy. Charge my phone. This multitasking magician combines talc-free gel powder technology and finely milled pigments to deliver a weightless veil of translucent color with comfortable, flawless looking finish. Formulated to seamlessly melt onto skin, it subtly blurs, visibly brightens, and perfects with every stroke. Look, I dig the crap out of this. This powder is good. Like, the reason that this looks as good as it does is because of this powder. Like, I put this on under my eyes and I was like, Yes, it's the right amount of brightening. It does add a little bit of coverage. It feels lighter weight than something like the Hourglass Veil, but it kind of does the same thing as the Hourglass Veil. It's not quite as soft focus, it's not quite as like satin, and I kind of like that. It's a little thinner on the skin. It has this lovely kind of brightened luminosity to it without being sparkly, and it is incredibly effective at changing the way that the light hits wherever you put it without overly mattifying. I dig it. I dig it so much, and it's really great that it has like skincare benefits and everything because it's so stinking pretty. It's so pretty, and I feel like while this obviously is going to be polarizing, if not kind of a total flop if you have skin like mine, the Triclone foundation, I do feel like this is just a crowd pleaser. Now, if you're looking for like ultra matte, you're probably not going to be even shopping for this, but if you're looking for something that's going to be like very agreeable, very flexible, doesn't crease, you can put it under your eyes and it doesn't highlight texture. It's kind of a moisturizing powder, like a hydrating powder with gel powder technology, like sign me up for whatever that is, because this is great stuff. Really, really excellent. I like it very, very much. Comes in this beautiful package, honestly. Looks like that, has that, you know, nice impressed H there, easy to grab. Has a trampoline on the inside, and I just find it to be exceedingly lovely, okay? It kind of reminds me of the Rare Beauty one with the like finely milled nature of it, but it just even feels like a more sophisticated, luxurious formula than that. And it's not pink, for all of my people who are like, why? Why do they make all the fair skin brightening powders pink? This one's not pink, it's just like beige. Bronzer. And then we'll apply this lip. I'm like amping myself up for it because it's quite an experience. The Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer with Fermented Arnica is $38, and it comes in a crap ton of shades. It comes in 12 shades. I got light level 1, and it is almost a bronzer, but it's just, ooh, satisfying, satisfying. Ooh, nice. This is the actual color of it. It feels awesome. It's supposed to be that same kind of like gel powder. A lot of things say that they're that, but they don't have that cool feeling to them when you dip your finger in. Look at that shade on my skin. It's almost hard to clock. Like as I'm looking at it down on my hand like this, like up in the light, it's a little bit easier. You can see the contrast there. You can also see that my face is a different color than the rest of my body. Great job, Khaki. But anyway, it's such a good color. It's a really fascinating formula, and I love how like smoothing and blurring it is, and that it goes on really easily just with a regular powder brush, even though it is not a typical powder formula. Let me see if I can show you. First of all, look at that. It's like rubbery on top. It's very pleasing. I don't know if you can see that. It's like this wildly balmy kind of feeling product, even though it's technically a powder, like it kicks up like a powder. But the way that like when you rub it like that, you get this really smoothed finish on the skin. It does kind of feel like powdered skincare in that way. I just think that like if you have had trouble finding a bronzer that like really goes with your complexion, there's a really good chance that this one has one for you, just because I feel like it really covers the gamut and there are a lot of shades. That's the most, 12 is the most shades I've ever seen, I think, in a bronzer line. We usually really give snaps to a brand if they come out with like 4 or 6, but like 12? That's rad. And I wouldn't even necessarily consider these to be like a contour line, the way that like with Fenty, every other one is super cool toned and can be used as a contour. These are all bronzers, and they're different from, especially formula wise, but just across the board, they're very different from anything else that I've ever tried and anything else that I have in my collection. That, to me, deserves a call out. Do you know what I mean? It's just not really comparable to anything else, and I feel like for that reason, it deserves to exist. So $38, the claim says a cutting edge, clean bronzing gel powder that blurs and defines with a natural looking second skin finish. Absolutely, absolutely. It has that fermented arnica oil, plant squalane. It's also talc free, clean, vegan, cruelty free. This bronzer is infused with Haus Labs by Lady Gaga's patent pending fermented arnica and delivers skincare benefits without compromising color performance. It's velvety smooth, weightless, skip-proof formulas unlike any other in 12 complexion enhancing shades that effortlessly, visibly define and sculpt, safe for eyes. Good to know. Yeah, I just 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 on the bronzer, especially because it comes in so many shades, but such a fascinating formula. And it does give you this beautiful luxury experience that's unique to Lady Gaga. I felt like her old packaging felt like it was kind of like knockoff KVD or something. Like it all just felt very goth for no reason. This feels elevated. This feels classy. Obviously it's a higher price point, I think. This just seems like it has more of her hand in it and more experience to it. By the way, I'm a huge fan of Lady Gaga. Not of her music. I mean, not that I don't like her music, I just don't keep up. But she's an Aries queen. She is an absolute icon. I love everything about her. I think that she's also just a really amazing, like, actual performance artist and drag queen. Like, she's just incredible. I think that she's amazing. She has really risen to fame and shown herself as like a multiple threat talent. So I'm very glad to see that the brand reflects so much nuance, so much more nuance, you know, and I feel like that's a much larger reflection on Lady Gaga as a human. So anyway, oh, let's talk about this lip. We're gonna read the instructions on the Atomic Shake Long Lasting Liquid Lipstick before I put it on. This is $26, comes in 6 shades. I'm going to read the instructions and follow them to the letter so that y'all can see exactly how this performs. I do have my thoughts together on this, but I'm always willing to have the opportunity to have my mind changed. So I ended up getting Rosewood Shine Rose Mauve, which is a beautiful color. It's the most muted out of all of them, I think. It says what it is: a revolutionary, clean, transfer-proof liquid lipstick that delivers high impact color with a glossy vinyl finish that lasts all day. Must shake well. Let's get to starting on that. Once applied, with lips separated, allow 15 seconds to activate transfer-proof Shine Shield. Flexible film forming polymers deliver a breathable, weightless feel. Marine algae extract helps smooth and nourish lips to enhance the appearance of natural lip volume, and Shine Boost provides paint-like shine and adherence. So this is a type of formula that has been coming out from a lot of different companies lately. I feel like some chemist was just like, guess what I did? And then they went and sold the formula to Maybelline and Urban Decay and Lady Gaga, to my knowledge. And then, you know, it's probably gonna come out across the board other places the same way that we all have gone through the, you know, pH color changing lip, cheek, whatever for, you know, so long. It's like almost like a gimmick, but in the sense of a long-wearing lipstick, something glossy that doesn't transfer is pretty groundbreaking, and I did have very high hopes for this. We have shaken the crap out of it. That should let you know what we're working with here. It's quite a strange formula. Let's go. Okay, I applied one layer all the way across my lips. Yikes. Okay, so that it's been way longer than 15 seconds, but it does do that right off the bat if you don't let it dry for, you know, a few minutes or so. But I don't even hate the way that that looks. It's not ideal. I'm not gonna do another kiss test. We'll let it really chill there for a second, but when you're talking, everything is fine. If you're moving your mouth around, everything is fine. If you're sitting there for a while with your mouth closed for one reason or another, maybe your friend is talking, it will will start to kind of rehydrate around the corners of your mouth. And I'll stick in a video of what it does because it's not cute. It starts to kind of like fall apart. So, you know, does it do what it says it's gonna do? Yes, but is it like a practical formula? Not for me, just because it's a very kind of like embarrassing thing that it does when you let your lips stick together for a while. But it does really like turn it into kind of like a 90s goth mood, doesn't it? Not like goth, but like The Craft, you know? We'll let that chill. So it removes with an oil cleanser, which means that if you eat something oily, it is going to start coming off. And you can patch it again, but be very careful to shake the living daylights out of it first. But it's a nice feeling, like once it does dry down. Maybe I didn't shake it well enough before. Like I shook it, but I don't remember like feeling the ball moving before, so maybe that was the issue. Really like the way that it looks, and it's actually really comfortable because it does have this kind of funky like slip on the outside of it. When you do that, like your lips don't stick together after a minute, and like the gloss part of it is really like hydrating and comfortable. It is, it's really interesting, especially if you're kind of like me and you never got on board with liquid lipsticks because they are so drying and they just like, I don't know, they look great on some people but not on me. This is actually great for like mask wearers and stuff like that. You just have to really follow the directions to a T. It's doing it again. I just parted my lips. And it just is like doing this number. It's like it rehydrates itself a little bit. And it keeps doing that. I've done that twice now and I just keep wiping it off. It's not the worst thing in the world since I did shake it as well as I did, but it's uncomfortable. Like you feel that when you like open your mouth, you feel it kind of stick. And the fact that it's like dangling sometimes. See, it just kind of keeps doing that. I don't know. I mean, I know that it's uncomfortable for me, but I could totally see some people thinking that like that's not really that big of a compromise for something that looks like this and behaves like this, but it does have its shortcomings and you have to like babysit it a little bit. So final thoughts on this. I think that it is a huge leap forward from what was originally released on Amazon. Like, just from my own observations, I feel like that Amazon collection, I'm not an expert in it, but it feels kind of like the Ariana Grande makeup in the sense that somebody said like, what do you want to do? And then I told them, and then she didn't really get like revision privileges. Like it wasn't bounced back off of her enough times before it was released. And like the formulas were a little finicky and the colors were a little weird and it was just kind of hard to work with, and it didn't end up kind of like flying off the shelves probably like after that initial push. Whereas these have staying power. I do feel like these formulas, while not all of them are my favorite, I do feel like they have innovation that is, you know, worth me paying attention to the future releases of Haus Labs. Now, I don't know, this is the one exception. I really feel like the powder is incredible, the bronzer is incredible, and like you can get this to work. It's just about like, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but this to me, I'd like to advise you, if you already have it and you're frustrated with it the way that I am, to try it by like mixing it and diluting it with something that you know that you do like how it behaves on your skin and playing with it to get use out of it. But if you haven't bought this and you were kind of waiting for my opinion or whatever before you did, it's a little bit too finicky for what it is. If you want something that has a hydrating formula and has this kind of like more natural finish but isn't quite so like cakey and like high pigment, I know I come back to this a lot, but my favorites in that category are like the Lisa Eldridge, the Fenty Eavesdrop, and the new Iconic London. as well as like the It Cosmetics, the new one, the CC Nude, is that what it's called? I'm not totally sure, but like those are the ones that are gonna give you that really lovely like satin finish. And if what you're looking for is something that looks more like this when you put it on, you know what I mean? You get the really good medium buildable coverage, but it's going to go a little bit more smoothed as if you have sprayed it with something. I would go for either the Kosas. It skews a little bit yellow, but it's a little bit more serum-y. And if you want even more like pigment, maybe a little bit more coverage, the new-ish Charlotte Tilbury is really nice, but I'm very aware of this on my skin. I would recommend the Kosas. The bronzer is amazing. The powder is incredible. The lip is, you guys saw, it's high stakes. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I really wanted to get this review out as soon as I could, but like it really took me a long time to collect my thoughts on this foundation because it's really different. So I thank you for your patience and hopefully this was a useful review. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would absolutely love it if you did. If you are ever looking to support your favorite creators, remember the easiest way to do that is to share their content on your social media channels so that people who don't know who they are can find them. New eyes are the essence of this business. So thank you to all of you who do that on a regular basis. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love y'all so much and I will see you in the next one. Bye.